My sisters and brothers, I greet you all with the love and peace of the Lord. I invite you to meditate together with me on the holy word of God of 21st September 2020, when we celebrate the festivity of Saint Matthew, one of the 12 apostles and one of the four evangelists. The focus of our reflection: God's grace is no one's private prerogative, but open to all who respond. And once responded in docility and surrender, life changes into a new dignity. As we celebrate the feast of Saint Matthew, he can be an indicator and a pathway for all of us in our own journey of discipleship. God's call and grace are gratuitous and not conditioned by our merit or demerit. No one can claim that he deserves God's grace. It is a free gift, and God chooses anyone and equips them with his own power. God does not necessarily call the bright, but he brightens those called. He does not necessarily call the strong, but strengthens those called. He does not necessarily call the able, but enables those called. He does not necessarily call the noble, but ennobles those called. He does not necessarily call the perfect, but perfects those called. He does not necessarily call the holy, but sanctifies those called. He does not necessarily call the powerful, but empowers those called. He does not necessarily call the great, but makes great those called. He stands by those called, accompanies them always, purifies them from their old self and old ways, dignifies them with a new status, and sanctifies them with his own spirit. He entrusts them his own mission, that is, to liberate and integrate the dehumanized humanity. He sustains all their efforts with his light and strength and brings their life to fulfillment. However, all this is not God's work alone. His call requires our response. His giving requires our receptivity. His action requires our cooperation. God's call always demands a prompt listening, obedience to his summons, detachment from the worldly gains, and a total commitment to Christ. And the greatest testimony of the quality of our discipleship is an authentic life witness. This is truly to live in a manner worthy of the call you have received, as the first reading exhorts the Ephesians. And now the direction and the directive for our life. We can be happy disciples if God never regrets having called us to follow him. The greatest fulfillment and accomplishment of our consecrated life is that God is happy with us. Let us then strive to live such a worthy vocation of life and mission.